This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a retro review of the Wrestling Observer back in 1991, September 1991. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Ric Flair, made his WWE debut right here in Ottawa, Canada. Let's go through his contract details. Apparently, it was a 2-year deal, which does make sense as he went back to WCW in '93. It had no financial guarantees other than the standard income guarantees. Apparently, WCW made a final attempt to sign Flair to an offer so lucrative he couldn't refuse for him to come back as a babyface and oppose Lex Luger, as well as have a hand in booking. But Ric Flair did not want to even meet with them. He was so disenchanted with WCW at the time. He made his in ring debut Monday night at the Superstars taping in Ottawa, Canada. And of course, the next night, he also wrestled in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. His initial appearance was supposed to be for a jobber match and got the biggest pop of anyone on the show. He did an angle where he laid out Roddy Piper with a chair, and Vince McMahon ended up doing a stretcher job in the angle when Piper accidentally hit McMahon with a chair. Piper ended up crawling back to the dressing room. This was one of Roddy Piper's few ever appearances in Ottawa. For whatever reason, he rarely ever wrestled here. Apparently, Flair taped an episode of Primetime Wrestling Thursday, which he did a 4-minute long interview. And yeah, he basically went on to having a series of matches against Hulk Hogan. So let me get into how those drew. And it's very weird that these matches were done in the way that they did. It's like you have such a huge match and you just throw them away. Like the first match was October 22nd in Dayton, Ohio. Pretty small arena there overall. They don't even give an attendance number. Hulk Hogan won. And their second match was October 25th in Oakland, California, before 13,400 paid. Not a sellout. Hogan won that one too. Heenan managed Ric Flair. Then the 26th, they were in LA. Hogan beat Flair via DQ. 27th, they were in Tempe, Arizona. Oh, in LA, by the way, they had 12,400 paid. Great crowd. I mean, that would have been worth having his pay-per-view match. Tempe, they had 5,600. Hogan won via countout. October 28th, in Madison Square Garden, Flair pinned Piper, which I'm just bringing up here because Piper very rarely took pins. November 3rd in Champaign, Illinois, where Tony Khan grew up, before 6,300 people, Hogan beat Flair via countout. Then there was a huge card of about 18,000 paid in Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, Hawaii, December 14th, where Hogan beat Flair by countout again. December 4th in Austin. Apparently, this was a heavily papered show. 7,500, half full. Hogan beat Flair by countout. December 8th in St. Louis. 7,900. Hogan beat Flair by countout. That's got to be a small crowd for St. Louis. November 30th. This is back when they would go to Madison Square Garden once or twice a month. Hogan beat Flair by DQ before 15,000 fans in Madison Square Garden. November 30th, that same afternoon, wow, 2 shows in one day before 10,318 fans. Hogan beat Flair by DQ. So pretty much the same match. November 4th in Denver, 6,400 fans. Hogan beat Flair by countout. November 1st in Pittsburgh, 10,800 fans. Hogan beat Flair by DQ. No mention of who won, but they were in Milwaukee in November before 7,800 fans. Denver, as we just said. Jimmy Hart managed Flair rather than Heenan on a lot of these shows due to Heenan's physical problems. No attendance, but December 26th in Hershey, PA, Hogan beat Flair by countout. December 29th, they had a Madison Square Garden rematch before 11,000 fans. Hogan beat Flair by countout. December 28th in Minneapolis before 9,000 fans. Hogan beat Flair by countout. And then we'll just go into a couple of the January ones. This one was interesting because I think it's the only Canadian match they had. And they had it strangely in Hamilton, Ontario, where AEW did tapings. January 12th, Hogan beat Flair by countout in Hamilton. On the 11th, before 12,842, Hogan beat Flair by countout again. Then on the 6th of January, before 6,000 fans in Miami, Hogan beat Flair by countout. The 7th in Daytona Beach, Florida, they had a heavily comped show of 12,000 fans. It was a Superstars taping where Hogan beat Flair via countout. And then on the 18th of January, before 15,000 fans, Hogan beat Flair by countout. Happy Labor Day to you. Thanks for watching my channel and calling me a pussy. As long as you watch, keep making me the money. But anyways, good crowds overall for house shows during this was like, I think they had a bit of a resurgence during the time when Flair came back or came to WWE. It became WWE had a little bit of a pop, and then when he left again, it started to get less interesting for a while. But it's still always strange to me why they did these matches as house shows and not a pay-per-view. Obviously, the Hoosier Dome feud with Savage and Flair was big. I don't think Piper and Flair ever had their blow-off. And it doesn't seem like they had all that many house show matches. So it was strange that they did that big scene with Piper for Flair's debut and then never really had a blow-off of it. But strange booking overall during that time period in WWE. A lot of they were saving it for pay-per-view, but it never happened. Never happened on pay-per-view until WCW. Rick quit WWE in 93 because I think he was made a much better offer to come back to WCW. And it ended up being a good decision for him. So there you go. That was one of my favorite live events I ever attended, Ric Flair's debut in Ottawa. So fond memories back when I was in grade 2, I believe.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any